The tension inside McLaren has exploded into full view, and the truth about their so-called team orders has finally been exposed. What was once one of the most united, finely tuned operations on the Formula One grid has descended into a storm of confusion, frustration, and mixed signals. Inside the garage, nerves are showing. Engineers whisper about inconsistent calls from the pit wall, and fans across the world are accusing McLaren of losing control of their own championship charge. What started as a clean internal rivalry between Lando Norris and Oscar Piastri has turned into one of the most dramatic power struggles of the season, a fight not just for points, but for identity. The team's papaya rules, once praised for promoting fairness and freedom, are now under fire for creating chaos. Critics say McLaren's refusal to name a lead driver has left both men second-guessing their every move. And now, with Brazil on the horizon, the world is watching to see whether the cracks will finally break open. Damon Hill didn't hold back when asked about McLaren's management of their title-chasing duo. The former world champion called the current situation utterly confusing, claiming that the team's mixed messages are leaving drivers, engineers, and even fans scratching their heads. At first, the idea of no team orders sounded like the ultimate show of trust to drivers, free to race, guided by respect and equal opportunity. But after weeks of messy decisions, awkward radio exchanges, and growing frustration, it's starting to look less like freedom and more like disarray. Some call it bravery, others call it naivety. Whatever the truth, McLaren's internal structure is now being tested like never before. For Lando Norris, the timing couldn't be better. He's riding the high of his dominant Mexico win, taking back the championship lead, and proving that confidence is his greatest weapon. But for Oscar Piastri, this same environment has become a maze of pressure and doubt. The Australian, once cool and unflappable, now finds himself tangled in mixed messages and growing criticism, too cautious when told to yield, too aggressive when told to hold position. The contradictions have eaten away at his rhythm, and the gap between him and his teammate has gone from comfortable to catastrophic in just a few races. McLaren insists they're letting both drivers fight freely, but from the outside, it's starting to look like that freedom is exactly what's breaking them apart. The paddock is buzzing with one question: has McLaren's strategy genius turned into strategic chaos? Because as the championship reaches boiling point, every misstep could hand Max Verstappen the opportunity he's been waiting for. The Dutchman is closing in fast, and he knows exactly how to exploit tension when he smells it. If McLaren don't regain control soon, their own open-door policy might be the very thing that costs them the title. The tension at McLaren has reached a level that few could have imagined at the start of the season. The same team that once looked untouchable, united, confident, and in control of both championships is now under more pressure than at any other point in 2025. The spotlight is burning bright, and everyone wants to know the same thing. Have McLaren's own team orders, or lack thereof, become their greatest weakness? What began as a philosophy of fairness, letting both drivers race freely as long as they didn't collide, has evolved into a storm of criticism, miscommunication, and confusion that's shaken the very foundations of Woking's dream season. Cracks that were once subtle have now become impossible to ignore, and the world is finally seeing the shocking truth behind McLaren's internal struggle. Every decision since Monza has added fuel to the fire. The order for Piastri to hand back position to Norris after a pit stop error was justified on paper but emotional in practice. It created doubt where there had been trust. The same papaya rules that were designed to promote equality began to feel like invisible chains. When the next flashpoint came in Singapore, it exposed how fragile that balance really was. Norris's aggressive move at the start caught Piastri off guard. And though both cars survived, the tension that followed was unmistakable. Then came Austin, where Piastri's early collision with Norris reversed the narrative completely. What had once been an internal competition built on respect was suddenly clouded by frustration and finger-pointing. McLaren's drivers were no longer fighting Red Bull. They were fighting to understand each other and the team around them. Damon Hill's comments struck a nerve because they captured exactly what McLaren's rivals have sensed for weeks. He said that constant interference and shifting guidance confuses everyone: the team, the drivers, and the fans. And he's right. McLaren's decision to keep both drivers on equal footing has created an atmosphere where every strategic call feels political. If Norris gets a better pit window, Fans accuse the team of favoritism. If Piastri gets track position, critics cry manipulation. It's a no-win situation, and every passing race amplifies the noise. Zach Brown insists McLaren will ignore the external chatter, but the truth is that the noise is now echoing inside their own walls. And then there's Max Verstappen. The reigning champion, written off by many mid-season, has clawed his way back into contention with trademark precision. He's 36 points behind, but that number feels smaller every time McLaren falter. Verstappen doesn't need to outdrive them, he just needs them to implode. His experience, combined with his ruthless efficiency, makes him the most dangerous predator in this title fight. While Norris and Piastri juggle internal tension and media scrutiny, Verstappen is lurking calm, patient, waiting for an opening. Brazil, a circuit where he's triumphed in every condition imaginable, could be the perfect stage for him to strike. Inside McLaren, Andrea Stella is working overtime to stop that from happening. The Italian engineer has become the emotional anchor of the team, reminding everyone that progress in Formula One is never linear. He's called this phase an evolution, a necessary process of growing through adversity. Even he knows the talk won't fix the underlying issue. The drivers don't fully trust the system anymore. Piastri needs reassurance that every call is fair. Norris needs confidence that he's not being held back. Stella and Brown's refusal to appoint a clear number one driver is noble, but it's also a risk, one that could cost them everything if another flashpoint occurs in Sao Paulo. Interlagos is not the place to make mistakes. Its unpredictable weather, elevation changes, and tight corners reward courage, but punish indecision. The sprint weekend format leaves almost no time to recover from errors. If McLaren want to keep control of the championship, they'll need to rediscover the discipline and unity that defined their early season dominance. Norris must balance aggression with awareness. Piastri must silence the doubts and drive on instinct again. Above all, McLaren must decide whether fairness still serves them or if it's time for leadership to take the reins. The paddock's mood heading into Brazil is one of fascinated tension. Every team is watching to see whether McLaren will hold the line or finally crack. Piastri's side of the garage has been working relentlessly to refine his setup, focusing on stability and braking to suit his precise driving style. Norris's camp, meanwhile, continues to chase raw performance, sharpening his edge for qualifying supremacy. Both drivers know that a single mistake could shift the balance of power not just between them, but in the championship itself. What makes this so gripping is the irony of it all. McLaren's dream was to build the perfect driver, pairing two prodigies, pushing each other to greatness, and they've done exactly that. But now that same equality threatens to tear the dream apart. The team that once celebrated their internal rivalry as a strength is now walking the razor's edge between success and self-destruction. Fans can feel it, rivals can smell it, and Verstappen is ready to capitalize. As the weekend in Brazil approaches, McLaren's leadership faces its biggest test yet. Do they stay loyal to their no team orders philosophy or finally take control before it's too late? The shocking truth about McLaren's internal tension has finally come to light, and whatever happens next will either cement their legacy or define their downfall. Because one thing is clear, the battle between Piastri, Norris, and Verstappen is no longer just about speed. It's about control, trust, and the cost of ambition at the very top of Formula One.